I can tell you exactly why I bought this and exactly why I should not have bought this. Hello everyone and welcome back to Retro Dregs, the bottom of the gaming barrel. Now I've been making more regular videos for the last few weeks and I started it all off by saying that I would be slimming down my games collection, and it's been sort of slow progress. If I'm being completely honest, I've been sidetracked with a couple of other videos that I've wanted to put together, ideas that I've just wanted to get out there. Like last week I did the Wild Guns video, the sad case of the Nintendo boxes that were all cut up that I picked up and have been in the process of framing. But I wanted to get back to why I originally wanted to put myself in front of the camera, to be held accountable for slimming down this collection. So in front of me I have the first 10 games I have selected that are on the to-go pile. Now I know 10 is not a lot, but you know, baby steps. This is slimming down this collection is more difficult than I thought it would be. Not because I don't want to get shot of this stuff, it's just that sometimes it's hard to let go of these things. Somehow I formed an attachment to a lot of these things and it's just proving a bit difficult to pull the trigger and let it go. That is something I am working through. Didn't think it would be this difficult, but hopefully I've got some tips in place that are going to help me going forward. Trimming down these Billy bookcases to the games and bits and bobs that actually matter, that I actually want in my collection, rather than just filler. So in front of me are 10 games that I thought I would just go through and give you my bullet point reasons as to why I've selected them, why they're going, and hopefully it will inform how I approach other games in my collection and make the process a little bit easier to stomach as I box this stuff up, ready to be sold on, passed on, traded, whatever I decide to do with it. And here is the first 10 things that I've just picked up and gone through, ready to go. It's a selection here. There's Wii, GameCube, some SNES stuff, Saturn, and some PlayStation stuff. So I'll quickly give you a breakdown of what they all are, why I've picked them, and why I've decided to me that they're just not important enough to keep hold of. So first up on the Wii, we have Crash of the Titans, a lovely play on words there, because I'm a sucker for the old Clash of the Titans film. But it's a Crash Bandicoot game, and if I'm being honest, I've never played a Crash Bandicoot game outside of Uncharted 4, the bit where Nathan Drake plays on the old PlayStation 1 within the game. That is my only real experience with Crash Bandicoot. So I must have picked this up because it was in a charity shop, it was £1, and I thought, yeah, it'll fill the shelf. But I'm not going to play it. It's not a franchise I have any attachment to or real interest in. The only other Crash game I have is the first one on the PlayStation 1. And again, that was a charity shop purchase and something I'm probably going to have to reevaluate why I actually own it if I have no attachment or interest in the franchise. I think I did pick it up because it felt like it was one of those games that you should own on the PlayStation 1 as one of the original sort of lineup, and there's even a remaster version that I could play on more modern consoles if it was something I wanted to try out, and I haven't. So Crash of the Titans, I'm sure you are a fun little adventure game, but bye. Next up is GoldenEye 007. So this is the Daniel Craig remake of the game, but it's not a straight remake of the N64 version. It is a remake from the ground up, first person shooter. It's very Call of Duty in its pacing and style, and not one that really translates very well to the Wii. The motion controls, the graphic capabilities. I do have a version of this for the PlayStation 3, which is probably the more optimized version way of playing it. So yeah, one that can go because I have another version on another console, so it's unneeded and unnecessary. Next up, we've got some old school Sega with Exhumed on the Sega Saturn. So I picked up a Saturn maybe 15, 16 years ago from GameStation, and it was about 30 quid with a couple of games. It was something at the time when I was just getting into collecting that I picked up more as a curiosity, because it is a console that I hadn't really played when it was released back in the mid-90s. I've got a handful of games for the Saturn, the staple stuff, like the Virtua Fighter games, Sega Rally, Die Hard arcade game, and this was one I saw in a retro shop that's now no longer with us, and I remembered playing this on an old 486 PC back in the mid-90s, so thought, I'll give that a go. Difficult to play the first-person shooters on the Sega Saturn, so I think I have only loaded this up once in the, I'm guessing 10 years I've owned this. I have since picked up a version of it on the PlayStation 1 as well. It's a little bit of a theme starting here with getting doubles on multiple consoles. Not one I'd be going back to on the Sega Saturn, so it can be moved on. A trio of GameCube goodies now, starting with Spider-Man 2. So of the 3 Raimi films that got video game conversions, I believe that Spider-Man 2 is the best of the 3. It's, makes sense, it's the best of the 3. Film-wise as well, I haven't played any of these Spider-Man games for this generation of console. Again, another charity shop pickup. It's definitely when I was going through a phase of games you should own rather than games I will play. But being honest, I've got Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4 and Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 5. Am I really going to go back to this, having been spoilt with the more modern Spider-Man games? Probably not. So this is best suited being passed on to a collector or someone who actually wants it and wants to enjoy it and play it. So, au revoir, Spider-Man 2. Got 2 James Bond games next for the GameCube with Nightfire and GoldenEye Rogue Agent. And again, another GoldenEye game that didn't deliver on the GoldenEye promise. That was a bit cheeky, that, calling that one GoldenEye, when other than being a first-person shooter called GoldenEye, has not really much to do with the N64 game. My housemate in university had this, and I remember having a go of it and it being okay. It's something I picked up with the intention of exploring because of the absurdity of the plot of it being about an MI6 agent who is shot in the eye, gets given a golden eye by Scaramanga from Man with a Golden Gun, and then teams up with all the other classic Bond villains to bring down MI6 and whatnot. I am a Bond fan, so certainly that plot thread and going in between all the different films is something that intrigues me. But, and here's the theme again, I have both of these for the PlayStation 2. If I am going to hang on to a whole bunch of Bond games, I've got most of them on the PlayStation formats, so not something I'm going to own twice or thrice on other consoles. So they probably aren't worth very much, but are easy ones to get rid of. Okay, moving on to some Super Nintendo now with International Superstar Soccer. I can tell you exactly why I bought this and exactly why I should not have bought this. So I bought it because it was a $5 and it's a Nintendo card. It's very rare that you see Nintendo card in a shop in, by my standards, this is pretty good condition, but it was a $5, it's complete. At the time I was thinking, yep, I can pick up a boxed SNES game, stick it in a box protector and pop it on the shelves. I have loaded it up once. I'm not good at football games whatsoever. And it looks great. It reminds me of an arcade game that I played in the mid-90s in a service station where you could power up your kicks and your shots and trails of fire would come down. And if you scored a goal, the goalie's pants would fall down and they'd be like, oh no, and stuff like that. I don't know if that's a Super Sidekicks game or something else, and the art style in this is very reminiscent of it, but but it is not this game. And then moving on to the reason why I should not have bought this game is because it's a football game. I have very little interest in football as a sport. Always have, always will. It's just not for me. And that's why I should not have picked this up. So it was the conflicting collector / hoarder in me that compelled me to pick this up. And I think because it was a £5, that's what swayed me. This can be passed on to a fellow collector who is in the market for collecting Super Nintendo games, boxed, in fairly decent condition, complete, and find a home with someone who will appreciate it for what it is, rather than having it for filler. 7 down, 3 to go, and the last 3 are PlayStation 2 games. Now, the first one is Kill Switch. This was a game I saw one of my friends playing in university on his PS2, and it looked great. It looked like something I hadn't seen at the time. It's all very sort of cover-based and tactical in its approach to the shooting, but not a game I picked up at the time, and something I got maybe within the last 2 or 3 years. I did load it up and try it. As with a lot of these games that you missed out on at the time and then reapproach now to get through, gameplay wise it hasn't held up. Not when I've been spoilt with things like the Uncharted games or other cover-based shooters. This game is clearly where a lot of those and more modern games take their cues and inspiration from. But going back to sort of where it started, it's, you know, again, it comes down to the time I have to invest into playing a game versus the enjoyment I'm going to have out of it. And at the time, I'm sure it was fast-paced and revolutionary, but in a more modern setting, it feels very clunky and slow. And as much as I want to give it the time and play through it, I'm not going to. So again, another game that can be passed on, traded in, and enjoyed by someone who will appreciate it. Now, the last 2 games are games I've been very much on the fence with, umming and ahhing. Yes, I will get rid of them. No, I won't get rid of them. And they are Turtles 2 Battle Nexus and Turtles 3 Mutant Nightmare. Where I've been on the fence with these is that I am a Turtles fan. I have a collection of the old Playmates toys from the late 80s, early 90s. I've got a whole bunch of games and memorabilia from the film. I've got the arcade machine. And if I'm being totally honest as to why I picked these up, it is because you can unlock the original arcade games on both versions. I bought these originally so I could access those arcade games. I didn't realise at the time you'd have to play through the actual campaigns on these and unlock them by doing certain tasks and earning certain points. So very naive of me. I don't have the nostalgia for these early 2000s Turtles. It was a cartoon that was on whilst I was at university, which I had a sort of fleeting interest in, more because the Turtles were back rather than I'm going to sit down and watch this. I'm just pleased that the Turtles keeps being reinvented for the next generation and is something that can be enjoyed the world over by children and adults alike. My wheelhouse of Turtles was the Hero Turtles from the late 80s and the early 90s films. I've since gone on to get the Cowabunga collection, which houses all of the arcade games, the SNES games and whatnot. I've got the cab behind me. So even though I'm a Turtles fan, I don't really have a nostalgia or affection for the early 2000s iteration. These can be sold on to a PlayStation collector, a collector of Turtles from that era, and be enjoyed by them. Because the reasons I bought these 2 games is superfluous now that I own the Cowabunga collection and an arcade machine. So I'm not going to play these 3D beat 'em up versions, so they can be moved on. So there we go, the first 10 games from my collection that are due to be rehomed. There is still a long way to go. Hopefully this is the start of the declutter, and certainly if I apply the rules I've given myself to these games and why I'm moving them on to other games in my collection / hoard, it should get a little bit easier to start letting go of these things where there is no nostalgia, there is no love for the franchise, or no intention to ever go and play. And certainly getting rid of doubles. I mean, there is a lot of games that I own multiple copies on multiple systems, which is a subject I will tackle in a future video, that's for sure. I mean, how many copies of Street Fighter 2 do I actually need? Quite a lot, it would seem, but a topic for another day. So if you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like on the video and consider subscribing if you haven't already and want to continue watching my journey as I declutter this horde of games that surround me. And leave a comment if you agree with my selection of games I'm moving on. Maybe you think some of these are worth keeping, worth saving, or games that you would consider picking up yourself. They're not for me, but they might be for you. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.